Hello and welcome back, everybody. So with that great introduction video. So as we're recapping is what levels we teach. I want to say to all of us out there, it may sound cliche, we've heard it often, but we are indeed all in this together. And when it comes to online teaching, we're all in a brand new world. Just like you, I was thrown into online teaching in March when Dallas ISD had closed down their school, about the same time that most people found their school districts going to online instruction and closing their school buildings due to the coronavirus pandemic. That being said, I was very fortunate that my campus was going into a blended classroom format. What a blended classroom is that it utilizes an online classroom in addition to face-to-face instruction at the same time. So I had some experience with Google Classroom and some of the other online platforms before I had to teach online 100% during the coronavirus closures. So that being said, let's go to the files, the slides, I mean, and they are right here. And you should be seeing them shortly. There they are. So with online learning, and I'm going to take my camera off so that you can see the complete slide. There it is, but you can still hear me speak. Online learning means it's 100% no face-to-face instruction. So when you hear people, or in this presentation, refer to online learning, that's what's being discussed. Hybrid learning is a combination of online and face-to-face days. So for example, you might see your students on Monday and Wednesdays, but you're teaching online on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So that's a hybrid model. And you've heard people discuss that when they're talking about reopening school or starting school in the fall, of a hybrid model in order to control class sizes. And finally, we have blended learning or personalized learning, sometimes also referred to as PL. PL, students are in your classroom face-to-face daily, but use digital classrooms to encourage students' personal growth based on their own interests that can be customized through the computer usage with it. So this is a blended learning concept. So this presentation, regardless of what model your school district goes with as we open school this fall, hopefully you'll find this all very helpful, because even if you're 100% face-to-face, blended learning and personalized learning can have a lot of advantages, being able to add that element to your classroom, especially when you have to differentiate instruction for students who are either moving a lot faster than the pace of your class, or those who need help catching up. Either they're a slower learner or they were absent for some days. So this is a useful tool. You'll notice I did say we were going to take another poll, but reading a lot and hearing from my colleagues around the world, I think most of us would fall into the category of, we really don't know yet what's happening. We're preparing for everything. So let's continue on with this presentation with the idea that we're preparing for everything. Next slide. So the first thing we need to start off with is a YouTube video is not a replacement for a teacher. Let's say that again. A YouTube video is not a replacement for a teacher. All right, little kids, Rock Nation, say that with me out loud in your room so your dog barks. A YouTube video is not a replacement for a teacher. Okay. This is something, as we discuss online learning, a lot of people think you can just turn on YouTube and you can learn to play the guitar. Well, you might learn some tips in that, but teaching is a lot more in depth than just a video. You are needed there to help guide children to be able to learn their skills needed, as well as be able to assess their competency in a skill, and to teach students how to assess themselves, which is important as well. So a YouTube video can't do that. A YouTube video cannot build a relationship with another, with a A YouTube video cannot build a relationship with the student. You can build a relationship with the student. A YouTube video can't answer questions, but you can. So very important as we venture out into this brand new world that a YouTube video is not a replacement for a teacher. So online teaching really comes down to what are you going to teach? Good teaching will lend itself to good online teaching. When you are prepared as a teacher, when you have thought through things and ready to present your lessons, it will become more fluid and easier online. So the first question is, what are you going to teach? Songs are vehicles to teach skills and standards. And there's a big difference between running repertoire and teaching. So what does that mean, running repertoire and teaching? Running repertoire is when you say to the kids, we're going to learn Smells Like Teen Spirit, and here's the part, and here's where you put your fingers, and you strum it this many times, and now we're going to replicate the song. That's running repertoire, and you start from the beginning, and you go to the end a few times, and maybe you stop or you get stuck, or the kids fall apart, but that's still running repertoire. Teaching is teaching the kids more about it, asking the students, how did the song sound? Why did it sound that way? What can we do to fix it? What are the elements of this song? What's the form of the song? Having them arrive to those decisions. Instead of me saying what's wrong, having them say what's wrong with the song. That is teaching, and that's why it's different than running repertoire. As I've talked to my colleagues in the music field, and we've started to navigate this brave new world of teaching online, the teachers who are used to running repertoire are the ones who kind of fell into a pit. Like they didn't know where to go and what to do. And the ones who taught asking the students to evaluate and monitor their skills are the ones who really thrived in online learning. In online learning, we're not going to be able to rehearse as an ensemble. Those really cool things that look like a Zoom conference is not Zoom. Okay, those are edited videos using Filmora or another online platform to edit videos and put them together. They're not all playing that live at the same time. With internet delays, if you try to play live at the same time, it's going to come out muddy. You're going to have sound suppressing problems, and it's not going to work. So you can't teach modern band as an ensemble. The way you teach modern band online is by teaching them the skills necessary in order to, when they come together, they can be an ensemble together. That comes in seamlessly together. Here are the skills. Now we're with an ensemble, and it works together. So moving to the next slide. So you have to determine what content are you going to teach. Are the songs going to drive the skills, or are the skills going to drive the songs? And what that means is there's two ways of picking out the repertoire to teach your students. If your student says, I want to learn the song Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, then you might say, well, this is a great opportunity to teach bar chords. And so therefore, the song dictated that the skill that needed to be taught was bar chords. However, it could be a situation where you're saying, well, I need to teach bar chords, and look, the song Smells Like Teen Spirit fits into that. I'm going to teach the bar chords that way. Either way, whether the song came first or the skill came first, you've set up what it is you're going to teach. And when you walk into a song, you need to know what it is that you're going to teach. A way you can do this is by developing something called an I can statement. I can statements are something that a student can say when they leave your classroom. They can say, I can do this. They are very specific. They align with your state and national standards. They align vertically in your program. So here's an example of what an I can statement is. By the end of the course, I can play the open chords on the guitar A, C, D, E, F, and G, if that is your I can statement. Therefore, the student can say, I can do this, and demonstrate their ability to do that with it. Now, a lot of folks are like, okay, where are these I can statements? And there aren't any out there that are online. But I have shared with you, drum roll please, I know you're excited. I have shared with you the I can statements I have made for my class is Modern Band level 1, 2, and 3. These are middle school levels, but can also be used at high school introductory levels 1 and 2. And the level 1 middle school, you can take about half those skills into the elementary level. And there should be a spot, oh, there is offers. And I started the offer of there, so you can download on there. If you click where it says offers, you will see that there's a download area with it. If you don't want to download it now, and you can download it later, but I'll take a moment and I'll share with you what they look like. So I'm going to turn on my screen share, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to open it up, and hopefully in 20 seconds you'll be able to see this.
Yes.
Perfect. So as you can see, these are I can statements, you know, coming down the list. In level 1 of Modern Band, in level 1 of Modern Band, they'll be able to play the certain amounts of chords, they'll know certain forms, etc. And they all line up with state and national standards. Additionally, as they go on, you'll see that it goes on to level 2, which level 2 is can do everything on level 1, plus now they can learn these new things.
We're not seeing.
And level 3,
We're not seeing your screen.
You're not seeing my screen. Okay, technical difficulties. I apologize for that. I know it seems to be a day of them. And let's try it now. It says I should be sharing now. I hope I'm sharing. Wait for my helper to give me a thumbs up or down on this. And
we can see it.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So as you can see here, this is level 1, and it talks about what I can do. When the student leaves, they should be able to say, I can sing with a singing voice. I can accompany myself on the guitar. If you kept scrolling down on your offer, you'll also will have Modern Band level 2 and Modern Band level 3, which you'll see it says I can do all the skills in the previous level and additionally these new skills. These I gave to you in the offer. Please feel free to use them. Please feel free to modify them for yourselves. This is a version, this is version 4. So even myself have modified it many times in it. You'll also see where it might call out certain performers, in this case, Stevie Ray, the Beatles, Nirvana, Redbone, Bill Withers. It doesn't mean you have to do those. Once again, you know your students, so pick the performers you want to know. This list is also set up for a year-long course in middle school with students meeting daily for 45 minutes. So we're going to go back now. We're going to stop screen sharing, and we're going to go back to the slides, and we are going to go back to the presentation, and here we are in the I can statements. So let's say with all this, you decided that you're going to do Proud Mary. Okay, that's the song. This year I had a great student, and he came up and he's like, Latrell was like, I want to do Proud Mary. Proud Mary is my jam. I want to see my girl Tina dance. And I was like, all right, Proud Mary it is. So we did Proud Mary. And this comes up with what I did to plan Proud Mary. And you'll see in just a moment, we're going to take this onto an online format so you can see how Proud Mary fits online. I left in there, you'll see where it says TEKS. That's how the state of Texas has their standards set up in TEKS, but they correspond with with national standards. They might just have a different number. So wherever you are in the country, feel free to adjust those. If you're in Texas, I did the work for you. But in the song Proud Mary, you will see all these things can be learned through this song. The only thing I cannot do very well online is to perform the song as an ensemble, but everything else on this list can be taught online. When you have these, it's a good idea to keep them in a binder. Okay. Simple things like Google Drive and Dropbox, they're wonderful and great. But when technology doesn't work out the way we want them to, it's always good to have a backup. And I really do suggest having a binder. You can have one by units. Proud Mary came in my African American History Month unit. But also, you'll see I have one for the blues and several other units as well. Mr. Ducky says, be sure to have your binders with your units. Where did you find the duck? You found him on the binder. Hi, Duck. I'm glad you could be with us today. Now, don't everybody run off to register your duck. Stay for a little bit. You can register your duck shortly, but yes, you saw him here. Mr. Ducky with the binder is here for everybody who's keeping track of your ducks. So let's now take what we're going to teach and put it online. Okay, the best thing to do is to create a schedule. What's going to happen online? And you see here, every Monday is introduction material, and it tells on the dark blue what we're going to do, and the light blue tells me what am I going to use in the format for the students. We in Dallas ISD, most of us use Google Classroom. I know it's a very popular platform throughout the country for online. I highly recommend it if you have to self-choose a platform. Google Classroom is very self-explanatory to get set up with it. So let's dig deeper of how do you exactly plan this online for each week. So next one. So as you're planning, the biggest thing is remember, kids are not as tech savvy as we want them to believe they are. If you can't get it to work very smoothly, I guarantee you they can't. You might have one or two that could, but the majority of them are not going to know what to do. And you're going to have lots of questions coming in. Also, district computers often can't download apps or programs. So if your student is using a district Chromebook or tablet, you're going to have to find things that are web-based in nature because they will not be able to download things like Screencastify because the program won't allow them to do so. Additionally, school-issued Chromebooks also have very limited memory space. And so even if they can download an app, they might only be able to get one on because they've been limited in the amount of memory they have. But here's the one I really want to stress for you. A lot of our students are using hotspots that are being provided by your school district or by company supporters in your community. Often these are students who are coming from households with low income or are in extremely rural parts of our country that don't have internet access through broadband internet. And when you have hotspots, they are not as nice as broadband. In fact, I'm coming to you today from my parents' house in Michigan. They have broadband, but my house in Texas does not. And I found out when we were streaming that we'd have a lot of problems with the sound to come through using through the hotspot. Some of your students who were not logging on to your beautiful Zoom presentations might have been doing it due to problems with hotspots. The data cap is very low compared to broadband. There's a lot of connectivity issues as well. Additionally, you only get one hotspot per household in a lot of communities who are providing hotspots for students. So it might not just be your student who's trying to log on to the hotspot. There may be 4 or 5 different people in the household using the same hotspot, using that same data, and the data goes fast. So I really recommend as you're putting your technology together is to keep it simple. Streaming is very hard for them to do using limited hotspot. So the first thing is tuning. Okay, so this is assuming that you were able to get some instruments in the hands of kids at home through whatever distribution system that your community schools approve of. So when you have them at home, they're going to have to be able to tune themselves, and that is sometimes very scary with young students or sixth graders. So I recommend an app called Guitar Tuna. It is free. It works on Android and iPhone. With it, and there is a wonderful tutorial which is provided here for you to watch on your own time. Additionally, when you get the instrument in tune, it makes a little clunk clunk sound so that the student knows it's in tune that way. Additionally, as well as reading the dial. The dial is like a traditional tuner. And above all, for my friends out here who teach different types of instruments, you can change the instrument it's tuning. So on a guitar, it'll tell them string 1, E, and tune it. But if you're playing the violin, you can change it to violin, string G, or you can change it to ukulele or any other stringed instruments as well, and they will change a little setup to it. So remember, what's our mantra? A YouTube video is not a replacement for a teacher. There are some students who will be able to use the video, but there are others that you're going to have to walk through with them. So how do you walk through? Well, you can set up a Zoom type thing where they can answer back and forth, but you may just have to get people on the phone and talk with them. It may seem kind of scary and daunting at first, like I got to talk to them on the phone. What old technology is this? But it's an old technology that's a reliable technology. Talking to them on the phone, they can ask questions instantly with it. You don't have internet problems, internet delays, internet data caps with it. So I really recommend to be able to talk through it and get parents involved as well. If you have young students, make sure to talk with the parents through it and have them know that they can help their child as well tune. So you're going to have to let tuning be in the hands of your students. And yes, there will be some kids who will have their guitar be out of tune just about the entire time, or their ukulele, or whichever instrument they're playing. And you just keep working on them, because remember, you're a teacher, so you're able to give feedback to the child to help them learn to tune their instrument, where a YouTube video cannot do that. A YouTube video, they will not realize or understand that they're out of tune. It takes you helping them to know that. So let's start the week on Monday. Monday is a great time to introduce new information to the students. I do recommend making your own videos over what you find on YouTube, but there are several good YouTube videos, or hold a live session, whatever your district says to do. But how do you know whether they understand or not? One of my favorite things to do is to make graphic organizers. And on a graphic organizer, you'll set the background, which you'll notice I have a web address there. It says drag and drop for graphic organizer. It is a tutorial to teach you how to make that. The background doesn't change. So if you make a KWL chart, the student is able to type on the chart without having the chart move around, because it is a background on a Google slide. This is a great way to get the students to interact without always making a video, because we also have to consider when teaching online, we have to be able to give feedback to students. If you have 160 students, or some of my elementary teacher friends who have 700, 800 students, to watch 800 videos on an introductory lesson is a lot of videos to watch. It takes a lot of time. I don't think there's enough hours in the day, actually. But looking at Google slide, you'll learn very fast that you can flip through them fast in their Google Classroom and be able to make comments back to them. On Tuesday, we call it Technique Tuesday. And with Technique Tuesday, I often use a Google form for a response. Now, why a Google form? Well, some of you might notice that some students, they're able to work their Xbox, they're able to work TikTok, but they're not able to attach their assignment on Google Classroom. I ran into that problem with several kids turning in blank assignments to me, or just hitting submit with nothing there at all. So to get around that, using a Google form, when you set up your form, make sure that you have first and last name on there with your class period, or however you determine your class. This is important because often Google Forms, when it gives you feedback as a teacher, only puts ID numbers. So unless you have their ID numbers memorized, I do recommend adding these questions. And then you can ask questions that make them think. What's something that you learned? What's something that was difficult? What was your favorite part? How can you apply this to your learning, to your playing? You will be surprised on just how much you can learn about if the kid actually watched the video and played along with the video. With these videos, they need to be play-alongs, and they need to be play-alongs that are made by people who understand what's happening, whether that's you yourself, or Little Kids Rock has put several great guitar videos up by Scott Burstein. Does a fantastic job with them. Spencer's made a few as well with that. And you'll know if the kid actually did the video or not based upon their answers. Because if their answer is, what's something new you learned, and they wrote in just the title of the video, most likely they didn't watch it. But you will also find that you will learn about what interests the kids. You can start building a relationship with them, because when they tell you what their favorite part was a certain song, then you're starting to learn more about them. One of the challenges that comes out time and time again in the media right now, or in discussions with administration, is how do you build a relationship with kids? And through their classwork is a way to do that with it. The other advantage by using a Google form, as if you use Google Forms, you of course get the database on the back end. It is very fast to be able to grade down a form, because you don't have to re-click on each student every time you want to look at a student's answer. Yes, the downside on that is when you give feedback on their grade, you do have to enter their grades in by hand on it. But then make your grading rubrics very easy to do. Sometimes the grading rubrics can just be, yes, they did it, or no, they didn't do it. Or sometimes it can be, high effort, good effort, or no effort. And that's okay too. Not every single thing has to have a grade, or it's just not everything has to have a very complicated rubrics. As long as you know what your rubrics is, when you come to grading, you can use things like a Google form for the students to submit answers to you. We have a question coming in.
You were talking about Google Docs, I assume.
Yes.
And somebody says that she's tried that, but she gets a lot of "I don't know" for every question.
Okay, so the question was, they try to use a Google Doc and to ask questions similar to this, but they get a lot of IDK or "I don't know" responses. And when I get that from students, what I recommend them to do is that they can't use IDK or "I don't know," but instead they have to answer the question with a question back of what they don't understand or know with it. And don't accept "I don't know." Mark it wrong if they write "I don't know." If you continue to get that from a student, call their parent up and explain to them that this is not an answer that you can accept, but this is things to do if they don't know. Let the parents know that there are options for the student to be able to get help when they don't know. Some of the students are doing that because they don't know how to ask you a question on a PM, on a private message, or they're afraid to. Other students are doing it just because they're kind of lazy and mom's not looking at them real close, or teacher's not looking at them real close. But that's one way, is to make the phone call to the parent or send a text message to a parent. Or call the parent and ask to speak to the student. I've done that several times as well, and that seems to straighten them out really fast when the teacher's calling them at their house. They're like, what? Miss Pocat Drews is on the phone to talk to me? It seems like the voice in the background when they're talking to their parent changes a lot when I start talking to them, just the attitude in general. So hopefully those are some strategies that you can apply if you get a lot of the IDKs or "I don't knows" to your Google form questions. Also, one more thing about that, in your directions, when it tells them what to do, write in your directions that "I don't know" and IDK are not acceptable answers, so they know before they even start their homework that that's not going to be accepted as well. Okay, so on Wednesday. Wednesday is a day to do those parts of our objectives that are state standards or national standards that have to do with history or theory with it. And through that, I've used Google quizzes. And to set that up, I'll go onto biography.com or a performer's website, and I will take their biography and giving credit to where I found it from. I know a lot of people are really cracking down on copyright. And having the kids read it and then take a short Google quiz on it. I have found that that is the best student participation I get in my Google Classroom is when they take the quizzes. They like the quizzes because it does grade them instantly for you. And it's really easy on your side to take a grade upon that. I also let my students know if it's truly a quiz or if it's something they can go back and look at the reference material with it. Because even though it says quiz, it doesn't have to be a quiz. It can just be a way to quickly grade for you. This is not very high level on your Bloom's taxonomy, but is a way to sometimes get participation out of the kid you've had no participation with. That also gives you an idea, is the student choosing not to participate on other assignments, or is the student having some type of connectivity issues with it? If you see nothing on a multiple choice question that will instantly grade, a lot of times that's more of a connectivity than it is an attitude. Where the other subjects, assignments that come in blank, it could be an attitude of a student problem with it and not necessarily a connectivity problem with it. So this is a great way to be kind of a litmus test for that. When you do make this a point of concern is you cannot put the material as a link on the same assignment as the quiz link, because then it will not let you instantly grade it. In order to get around that, submit the biography or theory assignment as material for the day, and then submit the quiz as its own link. Therefore, you'll be able to turn on the grade reporting, and so it can send you the grade immediately on that. So coming through the end of the week, on Thursday is kind of your wild card day. And it's a great day to clarify things, to expand upon Monday. You'll have feedback because you'll have students who are going to comment to you. That's like their mission in life, is to see how many messages they can send you on email. You'll have one. Everybody has one that really, even if it's, hi, miss, hi, I'm here. I love the ones who just, whenever they log in, have to send you a message that says, I'm here. I'm like, great, you're here. But in all seriousness, you'll have feedback of students who've been asking you questions or don't understand, or even from your Google document that you'll need to go back and address some things. This is a great time to make your own personal YouTube video that you can customize for your class. Okay, your YouTube videos do not have to be professional quality. First of all, they're really happy to see you. It doesn't matter that you have your quarantine grays going on. It doesn't matter if you're wearing your t-shirt. It doesn't matter if there's clutter in your house. It doesn't matter if the dog is barking. They are so happy to see you, and they'll watch that video because you're in it, because you're the star. You're the teacher. Of course, you're the star. Also, when you're making these videos, I have found it more effective to make several short videos. When I say short, I'm talking like a minute or less, than it is to make one long video. So that's also something to think about. Once again, keeping in mind that if you have a student who's streaming, even though it's on YouTube, that's still a form of video streaming. So by keeping your videos short, your students with connectivity problems are more apt to be able to get a short video to work than to try to get a very long video to work. It's also a great time to have a Zoom office hour. If you're teaching multiple sections of a class, or just in general, you can say, I'm going to be on, here's a Zoom link from noon to 1. I will be in there. If you have a question, come on in and ask it, and just kind of hang out there. And you won't necessarily get a lot of students. You might only get 3 or 4, but you'll have an opportunity to correct some big concerns that students may have. Or you might invite somebody, hey, come to my office hour. I see that you're playing the G chord wrong. Let's get that fixed together. So this gives a great time to get some of that one-on-one or small group or personalized learning coming in there. So Friday is assessment day. And so before I talk about one of the ways I use assessment, oh, I'm sorry. I thought Chris wanted to say something, but he says for me to go ahead.
No,
and
we have a question.
Oh, you have a question. Okay, go ahead.
Wendy was asking, can you use Google quizzes if you're not in Google Classroom?
Can you use Google quizzes when you're not in Google Classroom? And the answer, Wendy, is I don't know. I would have to do some research on that. So if you could, at the end of the video, you'll see my email address pop up. Send your question to me as an email, and let's see if we together can find a good answer for that. Also, when you send me your question, please let me know what format you are using so I can help find that answer for you. But great question.
Do you know anything about Screencastify to show students through steps?
Yes, Screencastify, you can only use it through Chrome. So let me back up. The question was, do you know about Screencastify and to show steps to students? That was the question. And the answer is that yes, it's a Chrome extension, so you have to use Chrome browser for it. Interesting of note is that I wanted my students to send me a Screencastify of something, and they were not able to add the extension to their Chromebooks because the district won't allow them to add apps on. But for you to have it, you use it, once you add the extension on, it's pretty self-guided to get started from there. And it's very effective for kids too, because you can point your arrow at the big green button to press, or whichever it is that you need to explain instructions. Also, if you're using a format where you want students to submit videos or even to submit assignments, another great way is to make either a Screencastify or a YouTube video to show them step by step what it is that you're doing, and just automatically add that to the assignment. And so even though they might have been submitting videos for 3 weeks, on week 4, you still have somebody asking how to submit a video. And this will kind of help you out, get around that. If you don't want to make your own, or you don't know how to make your own, right now on YouTube, there are literally hundreds of people who put up videos that are public to how to attach assignments or do Screencastifies of different things on their, even how to use Screencastify on their computers. And so I recommend go ahead and use somebody else's work, legally use it. But a lot of that is made by other teachers who are happy to let you share it. So.
All right, we've got some other questions for him now. Or do you want to wait?
There are some more questions that came in, but we're going to wait for a few moments to make sure I get through the end of the week.
One of them was about Flipgrid.
Okay, so assessment and playing. Now, on Google Classroom and other online formats, students can submit videos. On a teacher side for grading, it takes forever to grade them. So I recommend Flipgrid. Now, what I did, and hopefully, let me go back a minute. I'll do better this time, but I'm going to screen share you again. And I'm going to show you what Flipgrid looks like. And so I turn on screen share, and I share. And then I click here. So this is the teacher side of Flipgrid. And on the teacher side, you'll notice it says there are no responses at the moment. But what will happen is that this will populate with students' responses. If you look here, you can also record a response back to them. When individual videos pop up, you can also click on the video and record a response. If you're worried about student privacy, you can set on there that you have privacy controls. And it's up to you to share videos with the class or not. Therefore, if it's a test, you may not want to share videos because it's a test and it's that person's private business. But if you're doing a discussion on a topic, or you're working on a composition project together, you may want to have students be able to share videos and discuss with each other. If you use Flipgrid with your classes, it is very important that you monitor very closely. You can take down videos that you don't approve of. You can also, if you have your privacy controls on, you can screen everything before it does go up onto the grid as well. And also, when you have a question that's done, is that you can take it down, and so it's not up there live forever with it. The other thing that to kind of motivate students is when they make their video, their Flipgrid video, is they can put emojis on their face, which it's up to you as a teacher whether that's okay or not. But I let it happen, let them put their emojis on their face, because I got students who were shy or not willing to share at first, the confidence to be able to share. So I really do recommend that, allowing it. And I'm going to bring you back, except I just lost you.
You might address media release forms, because somebody has a question about that.
Okay. I think I just lost everybody. Oh, no, here we are. We're back. No worries. No worries. We're back. So question I have that's been asked is what to do about media release forms with students with it. If you plan to have the videos be something that is going to be shared where people other than you are going to see it, you need to make sure that you follow your school district's media release guidelines for your district. A lot of schools have something that's called like photo and media release. That needs to be signed. If you're not going to have them become public, if you're going to keep them on private, remember I said you can control your privacy, then you'll have to check with your school district. I don't want you to go say, hey, Beth Poquette Drews in Dallas, Texas said you could do this. But it should still be able to comply underneath child privacy laws and be able to keep the video private, because it's private. It doesn't show to anybody other than you, the teacher. But please double check with your district on what their legalities on that is. I know in Dallas we do use Flipgrid, and has very positive results. It's also very popular with non-music classes as well. So a lot of students are familiar with it from other classes. The advantage for you really comes the speed of grading and being able to give feedback, because your feedback doesn't have to be typed. You can make a video right there and then to show them a correction from the assessment, and you can let them know their grade. So we have 10 minutes remaining, so I'm going to continue forward with it. As you can see, week 2 still follows the same schedule as week 1, but you're just kind of building upon the skills you already learned. Why is it that way? When the students learn the routine of it, they're more apt to be able to participate because they know what to expect in it. So they know that every Wednesday is Google quiz grade. I had some kids that was my hook to get them, was they'd log in on Wednesday, and then I'd be able to catch them to be able to go back and get Monday and Tuesday's work in there. So once they get into that routine, like I said, Thursday's kind of wild. You can kind of do different things there. So you'll see here where it says video moderation here. This was an example of what you'll see in Flipgrid, what that will look like. So you can make sure it's turned where you have to monitor the videos and keep videos private, especially if you're using it as an assessment. You can also set time limits for videos so that the students who are kind of long-winded in nature, they only have a certain number of moments that they can use for their video. Keep your technology kind of low tech, and I have this as your low tech resource page. Right now, it seems like all of us are getting bombarded by different online technologies and platforms, and to the point where it's just overwhelming. And so a couple of things I recommend is anything that you need to pay for, unless it's something that's really fantastic, great, that your district is paying a subscription for, then I kind of recommend avoiding it. Because when the free trial runs out, now you're stuck and you have to reteach your students a new format. Every format, whether it's low tech or high tech, you're going to have to teach your students how to use it. Even a Google quiz or Google form, you're going to have to teach your students how to use it. By keeping things and technology easy, keeping them web-based browser, meaning they don't have to download things, and keeping things free are going to produce the best results. Once you get comfortable with teaching, or if you're already comfortable with teaching online, then you might want to start using things that might be a little bit more techy in nature, but then choose a class that you know that you have good response with. Like for myself, it would have been last year, period 8. It would have been where I would roll out something new to try it out on kids before you roll it out to all your classes, because everybody has that one period that just seems to have a hard time of things. And for that, you might not want to try a new technology with them. Stay with something that is well rehearsed until that you yourself feel confident and well rehearsed with a new technology with that. So I know there's a lot of questions coming in. I have like 2 more slides, and then I will take questions, and I will stay on past our time limit to answer questions for anyone who wants to stick around with it. You notice I did add Edpuzzle down here. I personally haven't used that one, so I cannot answer many questions about Edpuzzle, but I went ahead and put it on there because a lot of teachers have been having lots of success with Edpuzzle with it, and I've heard it's very easy to use. So I went ahead and used that. It's a web-based program. Classroom management online. If you have those students that's not participating very much, go ahead and keep track of that on a simple chart on there. It's pretty self-explanatory about how to check these things. But when it comes to classroom management does not end just because we're not there face-to-face. They still have a certain decorum that they're expected to display. And so go ahead and keep track of that. And that's a way to start conversations with administrators or parents for those students who are not actively participating in your classroom with it. And even if it's the only thing they did that day was they logged into the classroom, still mark that as a positive, even if these other ones are not quite there yet, because that's something to build upon. And if you've taken my classroom management class in the past, you'll notice this comes right out of that class. So I know a lot of you have been using that with great success. Keeping everyone engaged. It means keeping your parents engaged. Don't be afraid to call them and talk to them. They're in this with you. They're like, I have this kid at home who's trying to learn, and I'm trying to be a parent, and I don't know what to do next. Especially when it comes to modern band, that's new information to them. And so help them help their kid, because a lot of times they don't know how to help the kid. With your administrator, share a piece of exemplary work with your administrator, and share instances of positive growth. Keep them involved in your classroom. So when you have to have conversations with them, you have all these experience to build upon. And finally, before questions, take care of yourself. When it comes to online teaching, this is new territory for most of us. And you're going to have lessons that are great, and they're going to have lessons that are tough. But I think the hardest thing with online teaching is that sometimes there's not a boundary anymore because it's in your home with you. So set up routines. And that's part of, you'll notice this presentation had a lot about the routine of the week, because that helps you plan and it helps you manage your time online. And the other one is keeping grading manageable with it, because the grading can really add up online very, very fast. So find formats such as Google Docs to keep the grading, and Flipgrade to keep the grading not as overwhelming as it may have been for you this spring with it. And above all, with everything, is stay healthy yourself. We need not to run ourselves down. We need to be strong. We don't know what's going to be called upon us to do as teachers this fall, online, in person, modified. It's a brand new world, and so when we go into this world, we need to be healthy in all ways. So be hydrated, take breaks, do what you need to do to keep yourself healthy. When you're healthier, you're able to engage your students about music, and as we have just saw in the previous presentation, just how important music really is in a person's life. And for most of our students, we're the gateway to that. And remember, you can always online teaching is wonderful because you can take all the bathroom breaks you want. So go ahead and drink coffee and water and keep hydrated while you're teaching online. So with the remaining, I'm going to advance to the next slide so you can see. There is a Flipgrid QRL code there that you can go to, and you can make a video if you want to share ideas with your fellow attendees, if you have some really great ideas about what you've done success, or if you want to ask a question and have responses back, because it is made like a forum. So you can go, it doesn't have to be me making a response back. You can make a response back to somebody who posts something as well. You'll also see my Dallas ISD email address is there, so that you can contact me, and I will do my very best to help you out, and or if you just need somebody to be a listening ear. I'm here for you. I'm part of your community, and please feel free to contact me with email. I'm pretty fast at email. Usually a 1 day or less response back with that. And I do want to remind you, as I have the pink duck, Mr. Ducky. You saw Mr. Ducky on your binder. So when you fill out your form, he was there on the binder. He has his own binder. So that's really fantastic. So Chris is going to let me know some questions. I know our time is near the end. So if you have to run, I understand. But if you want to stick around for questions, you're welcome to do so. And so our first question.
How do you execute your schedule with all the other teacher schedules?
So the question was, how do I execute my schedule with all the other teacher schedules? And the answer to that is, for my situation this year, is I would post things up at 7:30 in the morning that did not have to have me live stream. So that was already there. When it came to something I wanted to live stream and I wanted to do multiple class periods, I did it over my lunch, because in our school, everybody had lunch at the same time. And so that way the kids weren't being pulled from another direction. Also, sometimes I would put it, I got permission to be able to log on late a couple times and stayed late so I could have that late time in order to put up an interactive time with it. Otherwise, I met during the class time that was allotted to them. So,
suggestions to build relationships with students and parents you've never met, starting at a new school this fall.
Okay, so building a relationship with people you've never met before. One of the on how to do that online, one of the things is to start off with an introductory video of yourself. When talk about things, when I say personal, I mean personal, like what's your favorite food or your color, not like your deep, dark personal things. But start with things that they can build upon. If you come in and say, you know, my name is Miss Poquette Drews and I like the color pink and I'm so excited to be your teacher today for the school year. And you start off with that, there's going to be somebody who's going to catch on, oh, I like pink too. And then you start to build a relationship. Then once you have that introduction, in the Google Classroom format, you can send messages. And I would send messages at first that are kind of broad or generic. Just how are things going for you? And let them answer. Or what's something new that you did today? So with that, in it started to build information with that kid and to share back with them. Be candid, you know, with it. And that will help build that relationship. With parents, I recommend, you know, making some phone calls just to introduce yourself to a parent. And you might want to do that after you start meeting the kids as well. Technically, time is up, but you can still stay around, and I'm still going to listen to some more questions. So there's also there's a link in the offer for session evaluation that you can fill out as well. So our next question.
Did they get tired of the weekly routine?
The question, did they get tired of their weekly routine? And for my students, they did not. One thing, Monday and Thursday kind of led to some new flexibility with it. So you can put some new things in there. But most of my students were craving for some type of routine. They needed a routine in their life because everything that was a routine was gone. with it. They also knew what to expect with it. They knew Wednesday was going to be a lighter day in my class. They knew that Friday and Mondays were heavier days in my class. And so they were able to adjust, also allotting time to learn with it. So they really enjoyed the routine with it, and it gave them some stability, and they knew when they could count on these lessons to be there. So.
What program app do you recommend to make the group Zoom music videos after the kids record their individual parts?
So if you're using a group to make the group videos that look like Zoom, I have a friend of mine who used Filmora 9. They did it. I did not do making videos as a group personally, and the reason why I chose not to is it doesn't really teach ensemble, because the student's still playing their part by themselves in isolation and putting it together. It was fun to look at. It was kind of exciting to watch, but it did not teach ensemble skills. So I chose not to use my time in that fashion and to dedicate to some of the other areas to build with. And when it comes to online teaching, sometimes you have to make decisions like that, where something is really cool and yeah, you'd love to do it, but you know that your time can only be used in so many different ways. And so you might want to choose to do it a different way.
What's your workaround for families that refuse technology? We have some that do not allow their children online at all, and they have to send home paper assignments.
Okay, paper assignments. So with paper packets to do so, I would send home quizzes and those kind of things can be all done in paper quite easily, and you would have to write out some directions for the kids as far as plain type things to do.
Our school would post them on the house.
A lot of, if you ask, you might be able to have your school post them on the outside of the door, or they have like the little envelopes you can slide in what you need with it. As far as being able to do a plain evaluation, I'm not really sure how to do that. If they're not allowed to go online, it might be a great way to talk to their parent to see if their parent would submit it on their behalf. So. Another question.
What was the percentage of students who participated in online learning? Did you end with the culminating activities such as virtual band or acapella video?
Okay, so I had 160 students. I had 2 of them that did not participate online at all for whatever reason. And of the remaining students, I got Wednesday work from nearly everybody every week. The other work got, I think my lowest participation was 40% with it. And then other assignments, I had everybody except for those 2 that never logged on.
Is Google Music Lab an extension that has to be paid for?
Google Music Lab is a lot of fun, and it is not an extension. And it is browser based. You just have to have the kids go to Google Music Lab, give them the address that they can click on, and it'll bring them there with it. And there's a lot of really cool activities that you can create using Google Music Lab, especially in area composition. Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked, what's the password? I don't know what they were asking a password.
Somebody had a question about a password.
For your Flipgrid thing here.
Oh, a password for Flipgrid. It was... Sorry if that lost you for a moment. The password I believe I had was Modern Band, but let me go look. It was in my slides. Let me go look at the previous, because I skipped a little Flipgrid activity with you guys. I apologize for that. The password is Modern Band !
Caps?
All lowercase. So if you're trying to come to Flipgrid and it's telling you a password, it's Modern Band ! So, do I have any other questions?
All right. Thank you for great presentation, blah, 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 blah. And that's it.
All right. So that seems to be all the questions we had here. If you have another question, I'm here for a few more moments. Otherwise, please utilize the Flipgrid community to learn more. Or you can also email me at bpoquette@dallasisd.org. This session was recorded, and I know that Little Kids Rock will be posting them to be looked at later. I'm not sure where they will be posting them, but I'm sure that information will be given to us from Little Kids Rock. Thanks, Penny. I really appreciate that. I have another question. How many times per week or day for music? This situation, I had the students for 45 minutes every day, Monday through Friday. But though it was 45 minutes, they asked us not to utilize under 45 minutes of actual time online with it, and to keep lessons manageable. Some kids felt very overwhelmed at first online. So though I had 45 minutes, I probably only utilized on the lighter days, maybe 15. And the heavier days, I probably used about 35 to 40 minutes. When I say heavy days, that's usually Monday and Thursday. And the lighter days was Wednesday and Friday, actually, because they were just making their video for assessment. Actually didn't take the kids a lot of time there. So hopefully we'll answer that question. And the Little Kids Rock team has responded that all the sessions are being recorded and will be made available to you. Thank you, Little Kids Rock team, for sharing that with you. Well, I had a lot of fun. I'm glad I could be here to share with you. And I hope you have a great Modern Band Summit. And I'm going to sign off. So take care, everybody. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Goodbye.